the Tailosive Tech Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am once again joined by Nick and Randy, which Nick has some exciting developments in the iPad department that he needs to set the record straight on.
As
so Nick,
straight as my original
how's
iPad.
the new iPad?
And actually, I forgot, just at the top of the show, I forgot
Straight
which
as Tim
podcast.
Cook.
Yep, my iPad Pro, which I'm currently FaceTiming you guys on, so I have the freedom and flexibility to show off the amazing 4th generation 1 terabyte iPad Pro, which, by the way, guys, it matches. The hole matches the size of the thing. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard of the ludicrous leaks for the iPhone prices this year, but let's recap for those who don't know. $650 for the 5.4-inch iPhone 12, $750 for the 6.1-inch iPhone 12, and then $1,000 for 12 Pro, which will be at 6.1-inch now, and then $1,100 for 12 Pro Max. Randy, do you think that's believable?
I want it to be believable.
So do I.
I want it to be with everything that's coming to it. If those are our prices, I think it's a fair price when you're comparing it to the last 2 to 3 years of price ranges of what we got for the higher end iPhones. So I think it's believable. I want them to be the case. I wouldn't be surprised if those prices are wrong.
Same. I think they're more than fair, to be honest.
Really?
I think if we look back at Apple's history at how they priced things year over year, especially when they would make a lot of changes year over year, especially if we're getting OLED as a standard and 5G across the whole lineup, which has been known to yank the price of everything up as soon as they add those modems. And it's kind of out of Apple's control at this point because they're in a contract with Qualcomm, so they can't even say no to 5G, even if they wanted to. I bet if they had more control over their modems, they would probably not even put 5G on the non-Pro iPhones. They would probably stick with LTE. But Qualcomm's pretty much the only supplier for them right now until they start making their own, which is in a few years from now. But yeah, I think only $50 more for a A14 chip with the OLED and the squared off design and everything, even if it's a smaller phone. Yeah, it seems too good to be true, but at the same time, maybe Apple's playing trickery on the market. Like, the idea was make people comfortable with the idea of a $1,000 flagship, make all the Androids follow suit, and then go backwards once all the Androids do it and undercut them. It was a terrible trick.
They'll be able to undercut them if like those prices would be pretty good if everything is completely manufactured in-house, no Qualcomm, no nothing. And if you could do all that, I would say that Apple has the best means of putting them at a cheaper price and then forcing everybody else who has to rely on third-party essential hardware. And it's like, Snapdragon, man. Samsung with OLED. I know that Apple uses Samsung for displays too, but it would be cool. It just my perfect vision of Apple's manufacturing line is everything from display to killing off Qualcomm and the silicon, all that stuff. Everything that has to do with their chips and anything in house. Then you have complete, true, final control over the pricing, and then this whole Qualcomm forcing them to go to 5G thing. It is very un-Apple for them to adopt so early on to something like that. That's not what they do, and I completely feel like if they had control over that, we wouldn't see 5G from Apple until the infrastructure has already been established. It's such a waste of marketing that you have to do 5G this and 5G that when are we going to Chicago? I mean, are we going to go to these one little corners? We're
going nowhere now.
Yeah, in 1 year from now, I'm not going to have the same phone I have now. I don't care about the phone that has 5G today or even next year. I don't think, like, for example, San Diego, I don't think San Diego will have 5G for another 3 to 5 years. They're starting to establish the infrastructure now of putting up towers.
Not the noticeable 5G.
But even then, it's not real 5G. It's that low band one. It's not the same.
The mid-band long-range 5G, which is essentially the same speeds as traditional LTE. What were you going to say, Nick?
So if you think back to the iPhone 4, I believe, came out in 2010, and a lot of other Androids had already started embracing 4G LTE. And in 2010, people were like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe the iPhone 4 does not have 4G LTE. How dare they? And then with the iPhone 4S, people were like, oh, they have to have 5G. They just have to have it. Like, there's no way. Like, you can't have a phone released in 2011 that doesn't have 4G. Well, the iPhone 4S still had 3G. And finally, in 2012, with the iPhone 5, that was the first Apple product that had 4G LTE. So Apple traditionally has waited until the infrastructure is built out, because there wasn't much of a point back in the day to have 4G on an iPhone 4 or any of the devices back then, because the 4G network just wasn't built out yet. So Apple waited until it was built out and usable, because Apple's always worried about the experience for the users. And they waited until that 4G network was saturated to a point where most people in most cities would see speed improvements. And actually, if I remember correctly, they used different bands of 3G that were actually fairly comparable to 4G speeds in the iPhone 4S. And so people who were like, oh, but it's not 4G, the speed, an Ookla speed test was about the same. Like Apple is really good at waiting and not hopping on the branding bandwagon, I guess. Like if you think of AT&T with their 5GE branding debacle and how they still lie to people, like Apple's never about that. They wait until it's done correctly before they say, okay, we've actually switched to the standard. Even though,
Right.
Speaking of Intel Max and ARM Max or AMD Max, there's probably versions of Catalina out there that are running on AMD processors or an iPhone 13 or an iPhone chip or whatever, an A13 chip. But Apple never announces those things.
ARM processor.
ARM processor. Thank you. I don't know my computer pieces.
Louis AMD's another computer. They make the GPUs.
Louis Rossman hates me.
I get what you're saying.
Just personally. But so at the end of the day, Apple is not going to announce 5G, I don't think, until the market is ready for it. And right now, the market is not ready for it. So I kind of feel like the iPhone 11 was the iPhone 4 equivalent of this, and so people were like, oh, why doesn't it have 2019, why doesn't it have 5G? And it's definitely not ready. And in 2020 it'll be like the 4S. We'll still get 4G LTE on the 2020 iPhones, assuming Qualcomm. I'm not up to snuff on the whole Qualcomm thing, so Qualcomm has a lot of power over
they
Apple.
have to be 5G. That's
if they use Qualcomm,
the situation.
I'm not
now.
convinced they're excited to use Qualcomm. Like Apple made,
they have to.
They don't have to. Like Apple could make their own.
They're in a contract with
it's
them.
Apple. Apple could give them $250 billion.
No, I mean this has been announced. Nick, they announced. Qualcomm announced their main priority right now is getting a 5G iPhone out before the end of the year, and they're already. Apple has no other modem suppliers. They can't use their own. They can't use Intel because they shut down.
Maybe the chip will be there, but Apple's not going to brand it as such, which is, I believe, what they did in the iPhone 4S.
That would be more believable, but I confirm, I will reiterate to you that they absolutely will be 5G capable. It just, I don't think they'll 5G? Push the
just
5G marketing as much.
Why we're wasting so much time on this, guys?
I think it's a waste, but similar to what you said about the iPhone 5, there were a lot of Android phones that were putting LTE 4G in the name of the actual hardware when it came out. But Apple didn't do that. They didn't call it the iPhone 5 LTE. So that's why I get annoyed when we get these leaked specs or these leaked lineup images that put 5G across the top, because I really hope, I could be wrong, but I really hope Apple does not really spend much stage time talking about that. It'd be one thing if they just argued these modems are capable for the next generation of wireless technology, and that includes 5G and broadbands. 5G broadbands, whatever. And then they move on to the camera or the battery or whatever. Like OnePlus, oh my God, their event, they could not stop talking about how important 5G was and how they're so proud to be working with Qualcomm. Like they have another choice. like there's anyone else they can go to. Like, we have chosen after thorough searching of the markets
To
go
stay
with
alive.
It's like if you want cellular service on your phone, you basically had to use them, but they're very happy about it. I just hope Apple's the company that understands that it's not something that they should really be boasting that much about, especially when there's so many other things to talk about with the iPhone 12.
Yeah.
That I think just saying they're capable. I mean, there's probably a better argument for future proofing on iPhones than there is on Androids.
Totally.
I mean, a lot of the I think a lot of the argument for Androids that have 5G now is they're like, well, there's not much of an infrastructure, but people are going to hold on to these phones for a long time. And it's like, if you're buying a Galaxy,
That's a funny joke.
if you're buying a Galaxy S10 5G, you're not going to be getting software updates by the time there's a 5G network available. So yeah, it'll support 5G, but also your battery's going to be shot because the modems are not efficient and their CPUs are not designed to handle, gigabit speeds that regularly. So your phone overheats and dies really quickly, as people who have done extensive testing on the 5G iPhones have discovered. When you're doing the millimeter wave 5G, if you're doing the low band, it's mostly a marketing difference.
I know,
It's not even
that
a
stupid low
performance
band thing.
difference. So I think Apple just wants to have those modems to check that box. Just like, okay, people, shut up about it, move on, and that's it. And hopefully they don't spend much time on it, because I despise when tech companies spend too much time talking about how you can do 1,000 megabits down for browsing Twitter and watching YouTube.
If you sit
on a
3
phone.
inches away from this likely cancer-causing microwave dish with your phone plugged into a charger inside of a cooler, you can get 1,400 megabits down and 12 up because upload is still on LTE.
Only people who would take advantage of that are maybe IRL live streamers.
What's an
That's
IRL
all I can
live
really
streamer?
think of.
Call me a boomer.
Someone who live streams all around, like they go in public and live stream
Public?
themselves.
What is this?
Like, IRL is
Public?
in real life.
No, public.
Yeah, people can go outside their houses to live stream sometimes. It's not that common of a thing, but carriers
Going
are
outside
prepared
your
to make
house,
sure
you're right.
that,
Right now, it's not a common thing. It shouldn't be.
Yeah. Even before the pandemic, it wasn't that common of a thing. So I completely see it as marketing companies trying carrier companies looking at ways to up their prices or get you to buy a new phone because this one has 5G, so you should spend more. But I'm hoping Apple just doesn't play that game. It would be gross.
Hypothetically, if the prices are to be true what they are, I'm going to go on a limb and say you guys are going to get the 6.7 inch, the
Heck
biggest
yeah.
form factor.
Of course.
That's a stretch, Randy.
Okay,
Why would you assume that?
because it's only $1,100.
Well, Drew, I think
I would-
we can
I would get
agree
the-
that it's very important that we all come together and say 5.6, 6.7 inch. I don't even know the screen size. The big one. The big one.
Too many numbers.
6.7.
So many numbers. Just so many numbers.
It's 6.7.
Bigger.
Anyway,
We're going bigger. I will get the 6.7 inch iPhone if it
Bigger.
is $2,000.
bigger.
It's not a matter of price.
The phone's
the
gonna
fact that
be
it's
huge. Okay.
the fact that it's $1,100 just makes me feel more inclined to get a higher storage configuration for the sake of recording these
So
kind of things.
this will be the first time I would break the 64 gig base or whatever the base would be. I would get the higher one if and only if they actually do the bokeh and video, and you actually have higher fidelity of video
Yeah.
output to the point where I remember how big of a transition when we got stereo sound and 4K and all that put into iPhone 8 and 10. I was like, ooh, this is really getting up there with like amazing video quality. If they make that next step to the point where it's you can, and it's not that obnoxious like you're on a Zoom call and you blur out your background type of thing. It's more of a actual.
That's pretty
It's
bad.
like it actually they do that thing that's really good that like it gets more blurred out further back because it's reading the room and it knows, and it does that type of computational analysis of the same way they do photography. They do it for videography. If they did all that,
Yeah.
I would almost be obligated to get the higher base a higher configuration for storage, because at that point, even if I'm just doing light video capturing of things on my phone, the amount of data, even if like, hey, we still use the same high efficiency to compress and keep all the quality stuff. All that being said, I would feel more obligated to not change the defaults of the higher presets, just because bigger screen means now the pixels, like I want the high. I don't want to film on 1080 on a bigger screen like that at that point, because right now you can kind of get away with it in the sense that it's not really noticeable. You're moving up pretty significantly from, well, right now I'm using the regular size Pro. If I stuck with the Pro and I get the 6.1, it's still going to be extremely noticeable, and I would want everything to be as crispy and as smooth, 60 frames, and with the refresh rate hopefully being, higher, at least 90, then I want everything to look like it's in real life. So, yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
I agree. I'm excited to see what they do with the camera. I had a point I wanted to bring up. I don't know if I brought this up about the iPhone SE, though, because you mentioned the Apple tries to make portrait mode look more DSLR-like by blurring things further behind you more so than things closer, which I've always preferred, because whenever I took portrait mode shots on something like a Pixel, it was very on-off. It was very like in focus, out of focus, just blur, not blur.
That's it.
And it didn't feel very natural. It felt more like a Photoshop than it did like a DSLR style photo. I'm actually surprised. When I take portrait mode selfies on the SE, which I was really excited about because this only has one camera, there's no true depth camera system, so they've never brought that to any type of device with no Face ID sensors, but having portrait mode on the front. And they do the pixel thing on this now. So I took a photo. Maybe I should send it to you guys. I took a photo with the SE with the front-facing portrait mode, and I noticed it. It was like, hey, this is blurring things that should not be blurred, like compared to how I might need to, in my review, do a side-by-side with the 11 Pro Max and show you how portrait mode works on that. But it like blurred things that were right next to my face. So I'll send a text to you, and I'll include it in the review whenever I upload that, so you guys can see it later. But, I found it interesting that Apple decided to kind of compromise in that way.
Interesting.
And decide, hey, portrait mode is okay to be different on this phone. But honestly, I don't think it's a bad move, because someone spending $400 on a phone probably doesn't care about that tiny of a detail that only I would notice.
No, but I see what you mean. Like it's the same blur from the hammock to the ground.
Yeah,
that bothers me.
Totally.
That really bothers me.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you're coming from a 6 or a 7 and you've never had
you got to think of the market
portrait
though,
on the
totally,
front.
right? Like iPhone 7 Plus, right, was the first portrait mode device, and
Correct.
so there's a good number of people who are getting the SE who have never had portrait mode before. iPhone 6 through iPhone 7, basically, not 7 Plus, and
Yeah.
this is probably still the coolest portrait mode. Their minds are probably still blown when they like, oh wow, look, it blurs it all out. And like at the end of the day, it's going on Instagram, so who cares?
Yeah. It's a very tiny detail, I know.
But yes, Randy, I agree with you.
I think
the
it's a good
photographer
move.
Inside of me is cringing. That's not how
My eyes are
bokeh
going
works.
like, wait, that's not. Yeah, like the hammock in the ground. That's a pretty significant difference, and it's the same amount of blur. Yeah,
either that is such a high quality lens that just has like a millimeter or two thick, it has such a large aperture that the focal distance is just so thin, it's just getting just the thin layer of your face.
I will say that I think the camera, though, all things considering, that's a very clean shot, Drew. I like the clarity of it.
How many megapixels is it? It's just the iPhone.
How it blurs softly on the outline of where it knows is the face to be is. I like it. Hey, maybe we can include the photo in the video format. We could just slap it up. Hey, this is what it looks like.
Good idea.
We don't know if it'll be there unless Nick does it. So you guys decide.
I will do it.
I'll recreate it for everyone.
It looks nice. But yeah, I like the what's the front facing camera of the SE?
It's the exact same hardware. All the cameras on the SE are the exact same hardware as the iPhone 8. So I believe it is still a 7-megapixel sensor on the front, which I was impressed by because the photos I took with it were not bad at all.
No.
Considering they're not the same sensors or cameras that we have in our 11s. So
It's pretty good. I like it. Yeah.
it kind of is a cool science experiment because it shows everyone. It's 7-megapixel HD camera. What I did find interesting is that the front-facing camera on the SE does not support 60 FPS of any kind.
Didn't the iPhone 8?
No, I don't think the iPhone 8 did. I'll compare on the
10?
website.
I
Just to
thought my
double
phone in 2017
check.
hit.
The 10 did.
Okay.
I think the 10 did.
The 10
Yeah,
did,
but
and
it's the
only the
same-
10 did because that's when you started using the front-facing camera for your vlogs. I remember.
Oh no, I'm on the comparison site now, and the iPhone 10.
Not
Ooh,
sick.
Blessed though.
Ah, 10s.
The iPhone 10 also was capped out at 30.
It was
FPS on the
10s. That's right.
Wow.
So it's the same 7-megapixel camera as the iPhone 10 on the front. I forgot about that. Yeah, it wasn't until the 10s that they could do 1080 at 60 on the front, and then it wasn't until the 11 that you could do 4K at 60 on the front. So that's been a upgraded change year over year. But considering it's 7 megapixels, which in today's smartphone world is honestly not that much.
In today's smart, that's insulting. Don't
Yeah.
buy the iPhone SE.
You see a 7-megapixel picture, and you're like, oh, that looks pretty sharp. And then we also have phones with 108 megapixel sensors coming out today.
And it looks like a
And
hot
they
mess.
don't
They don't look very good.
Yeah, it doesn't look 10 times better. So it's an interesting science experiment to see how much difference the CPU and GPU have on the camera when the hardware is exactly the same, just a different backbone that's powering it.
Yeah.
How much of a difference that makes. It's kind of weird.
That's
I like this compare site, though, because it says iPhone SE battery life about the same as iPhone 8. And then if you put in iPhone 8, lasts about the same as iPhone 7.
put an
If you
iPhone
put in
7.
iPhone 7 lasts 2 hours longer than 6S. So it's all relative to last year's iPhone. They don't.
They've been
wanna
doing
give
that
you
for a while.
They have.
Yeah.
We've all just forgotten because it's so good. Like back in the day, it used to be, oh my gosh, that's 6 hours of screen on time to charge it at work. But now they're all so good. Like they don't need to say how many hours or how many milliamp hours because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's an iPhone. It's going to get you through the day, whether or not you.
Probably
I guess
Products.
some better
you can,
than
you can
others.
You can kill any iPhone. I mean, editing and exporting a 1080p video on LumaFusion on my iPhone sure killed the battery, even though it's a nice one. You can.
But you've been using the 11 Pro Max for a while.
Who, me?
But imagine
It sure
going
is-
back to the
it ain't me.
SE.
True. Randy is the small phone version person.
Switching to this for a week,
Yeah.
battery life was quite noticeably different. It never quite died on me, but
Okay.
it could
It
have
never
easily.
quite lived either.
Yeah. Never quite lived on me. I'm actually, I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm officially back to the 11 Pro
Oh,
Max.
good.
I lasted with the SE for a full week, and it felt like I bought a brand new phone. Oh my God. Going back to that OLED display, it did something weird with my eyes. I don't know how to describe it, but I almost got a little nauseous looking at the display. It was like so large and so rich and so clean, and there was so much content on the screen. I started like foaming at the mouth and stuff, and it was not
Oh my
great.
God.
And how
Gosh,
come
but
that
I'm
couldn't
glad I'm
happen
back.
in your wedding vows? That was beautiful. It did something
The
to
SE
me.
did something.
I looked at it and
Ugh.
it did something.
It hits different
It
now,
hits different now.
you know? It's weird.
So
but,
is this
I'm
safe
glad
to
be
say
back.
that you think LCD for phones is dead? Then like we shouldn't. There's no
I don't
benefit. Battery even.
I think it was more so the resolution that was throwing me than the LCD itself. I don't actually have an issue with OLED versus LCD. I think because my iMac, for example, is an LCD display, and it's super crisp, super rich, and a ton of detail out of that. Whereas the differences in color accuracy between OLED and LCD, I feel like are only noticeable in side by sides. I don't think they're that noticeable in day to day use. Because I used the 10R for like 2 months straight, and that I didn't notice. The only thing I noticed was the bezels. That was what stood out. Same with the SE. The bezels were the noticeable thing. But it wasn't a difference in like even that much brightness. I didn't notice much of a difference, or color range. I didn't notice much of a difference and stuff like that. It's something you pick up on at first and then grow accustomed to really quickly. So probably a lot of people disagree with me, but if I could get LCD on the iPhone with 120 hertz, I would take that over 60 hertz OLED. I'm more about the refresh rate than I am the color accuracy. But obviously, if we could get 120 hertz OLED, I'll take that. Sure, that's fine. Because I want the thin bezels too.
Randy, do you notice the frame rate differences
between like
between
just
60
the
and
refresh
120?
rate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't notice anything. I don't know.
I
what's wrong with
noticed
my
it.
eyeballs. They're
Very.
broken.
It's night and day. If
Okay.
like using the iPad, going from iPad because I got the iPad right here, iPad to iPhone or iPad to iMac right here, it kind of makes me dizzy or gives me a headache.
Yeah.
I do notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would choose, but I don't know if I would choose frame rate over LCD OLED. I think I would still choose OLED and have a lower frame rate for color accuracy and the brighter contrast. I care more about vibrancy than movement
Okay.
because I'm not married to the idea of everything having to be 60 frames, 120. I'm okay with watching something that's 24 frames, you know.
Drew
I'm
doesn't.
indifferent.
He hasn't watched any movies ever, basically.
I'm indifferent.
I have to use the TV upscaling to
There you
60
go.
hertz.
Interlace them.
No, I don't do that. I hate that, by the way.
Yeah, I prefer color accuracy and just brighter, more. I want a not truer tone color, but a dynamic range. I care about the dynamic range and being able to have more of that over movement preference. But yeah, I'll take both. Absolutely,
Okay.
I'll take both. Yeah. So
I had a question for you guys about the Series 6 because I have thoughts on this. We didn't talk about the Apple Watch.
we didn't
last
talk about
week, did we?
anything. Happy birthday, Apple Watch.
Yeah,
We-
I know.
we were-
I was so sad.
we were-
Yeah, why didn't we mention that?
The moment we got off,
sorry,
we
Apple
said,
Watch.
"Oh my God, we didn't talk about the 5th birthday."
5th birthday. Well, it's not a good birthday because I don't have good things to say about this. But there's two reports about the Series 6 and the primary features it's going to have, and I wanted to dive into them. For one, surprising no one, sleep tracking. For two, a longer battery life. A 3, a pulse oximeter. So,
Pulse
Nick, you know what that is.
do.
Moving the S6 chip
Drew.
and the mental health abnormalities detection.
How does that work?
Say that
And that's
5
what
times
we got.
fast.
I want to hear.
Mental health abnormalities detection.
I want to hear Tim get up there on the morning and be like, so our Apple
In the
Watches
current-
are our most intimate devices yet. We really wanted to knock this out of the park. Not only is it concerned with your heart rate, your cycles, your exercise, your standing throughout the day, it also wants to be involved with your mental health. Drew in the
And the crowd is confusingly wild. Everyone's like, "Yeah, I guess. Okay."
Crippling
In the current state, I too have depression. Yay! No, but with those current leaks, if all of those end up happening, I don't think I would get the Series 6.
Really? Okay.
Would you, Nick?
So I was actually just talking about this with one of my friends yesterday.
Oh,
Well, it
Wasn't
wasn't
us,
me or
Well,
Drew.
It was Scott. I'm sorry. I only have 3 friends, and you were 2 of them
Oh.
here. So Scott's the other one. Congratulations.
okay.
Congrats.
Deal.
Yeah. So they're expensive, and they depreciate so quickly. If they held their value better, I would not be so concerned
True.
dropping $800 on a new watch. But my
Thank
current
you.
watch right now is worth. I bought it for $850. If I went out to sell it, $350 maybe. and I'd still have to pay for
No,
shipping.
you wouldn't get 350.
350 on Swap. I was looking last night. There were some stainless steel watches out there for 350. So,
They're not selling.
well, no, they're not. There's two of them. There are literally two of them on Swappa. 44
Yeah, that's
millimeter
at
Series
350
4.
guarantee. I promise you, not selling.
So
I'm telling you, it will be lower
okay,
than that. I promise.
exactly. And Apple wants to give me $100. I'm just sitting here scratching my head, like, okay, I spent $850. Like, okay, with iPhones, I'm totally fine dropping $1,200 or $1,400 on an iPhone because I know
Totally
in
different.
a year and a half, 2 years, it's going to be worth $600 to $1,000, depending on how I take care of it or how quickly I get AppleCare to replace stuff. But
Right.
the iPhone is totally different from the Apple Watch, and I am so sick of my gold color. Like, I was sick of this gold color like a year ago, this time a year ago, and I'm still wearing it. So I'm probably at this point. Well, I'm going to wait for Series 6 to come out and see what happens. But I would totally buy a stainless steel Series 4 and just do that. Because that would feel like enough of an upgrade. Like, it would finally be the color that I want it to be. It's been over a year since, like, I've been sick of this gold color. I know, Drew. Don't rub it in my face too much, please. Okay, Randy, you got the midnight green one, the one that actually matches your whole persona. It's perfect for you. Apple didn't do that for me. Okay.
I totally agree that the resale value is the main factor that prevents me from wanting to get the Series 6 because you're right. Like, I can sell my 11 Pro Max probably when the 12 Pro Max comes out. I could probably get like $700
Exactly,
or $800 out of it by just selling it on anything. Whereas the Apple Watch, I've sold them before. They tank in value so fast within just a year. Even the nice ones, like, and Apple doesn't help at all with this because if you handed them a $17,000 solid gold Apple Watch edition, they would be like, "We'll recycle it for you."
Sounds like Pawn Stars. Best I could do is $150.
That's a win for the environment too. That's what Apple would do. They would give you basically nothing for it. So if the design isn't changing, I'm sorry, I don't care about the pulse oximeter.
So
I have no clue why people need a different CPU than the S4, which is already like I unpaired and repaired my watch with the SE and the 11 Pro Max. It is night and day faster than what it used to be. I remember doing that with the Series 0, then the Series 2, and the 3. That used to be like an hour-long process, just like unpairing and repairing your Apple Watch with a different phone. That used to take that was a commitment. Series 4 is just like, okay, unpaired, repaired, and I'm done with it in like 30 minutes or less usually. From unpair SE to pair with the camera alignments and everything, setting it up so dang fast now. The only thing they could do with the S6, I guess, is prolong battery life, but I'm wondering if the longer battery life is insanely longer to the point that I might use my Apple Watch differently, it might be worth it, but that's a question I wanted to pass off to Randy. Like, is there a way they could extend the battery life so dang long? I'm not talking just 2 days or 3 days, like a week or longer, that would make you feel like, okay, now it feels kind of weird having a watch I have to charge every night.
So,
Stumper.
before
Randy just hangs up.
do you want me to
I'm
take this
done.
question, Randy, so you can think?
No, because it's a couple episodes ago we were talking about watches and my relationship with them as opposed to
Yes.
smartwatches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't care about wearing my watch at night because that's has never been what I do. I'm not comfortable with it. I can feel it. It's not something worth that to me. More so, it's not even worth something. Again, like I wouldn't upgrade probably to Series 6 because I that's not how I use watches. I don't when I buy a watch, I don't buy it with the intent of resale value, kind of like what you guys were talking about. If I
You shouldn't with the Apple Watch.
not with the Apple Watch. Well, even say it was the resale value was great. I have no desire to swap out every year. I only do it with phones mostly I like 85% of is because of the camera. So 8.5 out of 10 times I upgrade every year because the camera is that important to me. But even then, there's no logical reason to walk away from a phone every single year either. But watch, definitely no point within a watch. Series 4 was so good that they just called Series 5 and forced one new thing, technically two, with always on, which you could have just done anyway.
That compass, so important.
And that compass, man, let me tell you, deal breaker. You got to get a compass. It was so good that no internals changed, really. So you change the display so that way you can have always on that nobody ever uses, and you have a compass because heaven forbid that you get lost.
They'll turn it off anyway.
Yeah, they'll turn it off. My brother, who got the Series 5, turned it off. My friend, who I work with, got the Series 5 over the 4 when I was like, there's no point. He's like, nah, Apple, whatever. And he turns it off. He's like, I just want the newer one. I don't care.
Apple.
It's Apple, whatever. I'm getting Series 5. But they didn't put thought into it. And I'm like, I'm sure if they took some time to just like hear me out, they would have been like, oh, that makes sense. But then they're like, but it's old. But somebody who's already in it, someone who's already has the Series 4 has no purpose to just upgrade. I mean, Drew, you even tried Series 5 and you're like, yeah, I'm not holding on to this thing. So I think Series 6 is not something for me. Long battery. If you gave me something that's a week long, hey, take it off and now you can charge it. Before smartwatches, I would just take off the watch and put it with my wallet and my car keys, and I would just put it in the drawer. I don't wear it, so it can't convince me to upgrade. The sleep tracking, cool, but I already know I have insomnia. I actually had like medical equipment attached to me. I have a sleep apnea as well. Like I had stuff from the VA hooked to my face and my lungs and stuff, and they tracked my sleep that way. There's nothing Apple Watch is going to tell me that I don't already know. The blood thing, the pulse oximeter, I don't even know how to spell that. Don't care.
Guys, pulse oximeter is probably the coolest feature out of all of this. You guys are just dismissing
it. You can spell electrocardiogram, though, right?
Man, I can't. I don't even.
There. Boom. I can spell.
The mental health thing. I mean, mental health. I appreciate the initiative of trying to do something to help people calm down. But Sam at iUpdate, he put out a video and he said it spot on that like I already know I have anxiety. And if you tell me I have anxiety, it's going to give me more anxiety because now I'm thinking about it. And it's so true. It's just like, my God, I have anxiety. And I already know I have anxiety.
I have no clue what that detection is going to be and why that is somehow a Series 6 feature and not a WatchOS feature.
Because the Series 4 is so good, they got to come up with something. That's why.
So you think they're going to actually make software exclusive for the Series 6?
Yeah.
Even mental health features?
If they were smart,
if
they were smart, they shouldn't, but...
Apple is all about making things available to everyone. Like they made the low heart rate
FaceTime, iMessage, ecosystem.
They're health features though, like the
lies.
I don't know. I feel like they haven't kept the health features as exclusive as they could have in the past. The current Apple Watch Series 4 is supposedly able to do pulse oximeter and read your oxygen rate from the current sensors on the back. I'm kind of holding out that there's going to be an update with WatchOS 7 or whatever we're on at this point, next one. That's how little I care. I've literally updated my watch once back in September. I do not update my watch. I do not update... My watch is literally...
Watch updates are hard.
Tell me about it. You got to get download
They make it so complicated.
Connect it.
And then you got to have 100% or 50% and on the charger. And you got to wait like an hour.
Why do they do that? Why is it so complicated? Like, why does it need to be over 50?
It has to be 100% of the time. Always has to work. Because there's no way you can plug it into iTunes and fix it.
I know, but it's ridiculous to me that your watch can be at 100% charge. But if it's not connected to power, they won't do the update. Like, do they think the update will literally take that long?
Worst case scenario.
That it will drain the entire battery?
Maybe not for Series 4, but if the latest or the oldest version still supports that latest OS, it could probably do something.
I trick them. I put them on the watch charger, and then the install starts, and then I take it off and put it on.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
I lie to it. They don't want you to do that, but they can't stop the update once they begin.
Now they're gonna know because of your anxiety and depression alerts. It'll be like, you lied to me. You're anxious about this. Increasing gravitational pull.
If mental health abnormalities is a Series 6 feature, that would be like making it so the Breathe app only works on the Series 3.
Exactly.
And you can't do it on the Series 2. That's what it sounds crazy to me that's a Series 6 feature. It just sounds like
it's reading your. There's a watch should not have. It's the same thing as like, hey, you're about to have a heart attack. Okay, I understand the process of saying that, but when it comes to mental health,
there's a biological thing there.
Yeah, but mental health, man, I'm not. No one should rely on a watch to say that something's wrong. Like, you should let that.
Elon Musk needs one of those.
Ouch!
It's just an alert that says "Get off Twitter, fad."
Oh my God, Elon Musk, man, he wouldn't wear it even if he did. He'd just be like, my version of. Huh.
Yeah.
He would do it wrong, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I wanted to say that if the battery life is an insane jump, not a little jump, but a huge jump, that might make me feel
like a week,
a bit more inclined. Yeah, if it was something like a week or close to that, maybe if on the Series 6 they're like, this has a 5-day battery or close to that, because they say it has an all-day battery now, and I can go 2 days with that. So, if something like that happened, I might be inclined to update just for the sake of I want to see if I use my watch differently if I don't have to charge it each night and I just don't even think about it. And I don't care about the sleep tracking or the pulse oximeter or things like that. Just the ability to not think about it in putting the fact that I didn't buy a Series 5 and I bought this in 2018. Yeah. It's like it's gotten its life. It's gotten its life's worth, exactly. And I want to review it. And I don't think a Series 6 would be something I could do a review on if I just had it for a week, because if the battery, it'd be interesting if I could put on the watch, wear it for an entire week, and then return it without ever charging it. Like that's how long the battery is.
I don't think that's gonna be
so if
that
they did
long,
something,
I don't think so.
You're probably right. So if the battery life is just
2 days,
3 days now,
2 days, 2 days official, 3 days unofficial.
2 day, I can do 2 days now, so that would be impressive to me.
But I can't. I have to charge it every day, and I actually don't charge at night. You guys all charge at night. I do sleep tracking. I do enjoy it. Mostly because I am interested in how many REM cycles I get. And most days I don't look at the sleep data, but on mornings that I wake up and feel terrible, it's like, I wonder how many REM cycles I got last night. And it's like, oh, I only got 2 because I had to go to the bathroom 8 times. Okay, great. Or, whatever. So I do sleep tracking, which means that my watch right now is at 14%. So I do about an hour-long workout every day.
Wow.
And I charge all...
I never get there.
So I basically do an entire
I'm at
cycle
96.
I'm at 97. I got you beat.
I haven't charged since like 24 hours ago. So it's just enough to get me through a day cycle. And typically, while I'm working, I just plop it on my desk for my charger for an hour and a half, and then it's good. But...
So do you think they'll do some kind of redesign with the S6? Because I don't think there's much redesigning. They could just make the battery physically larger. It'll just be a super low power mode for the sleep tracking stuff.
I mean, actually, I would appreciate a super low power mode because whenever I go to sleep, I have like a sleeping playlist that I put on my iPhone just to help get background noise and keep my mind not going to the dark places.
I want to hear this. Is it Randy's?
It is pretty much just a bunch of lo-fi or whatever. You should totally check out Randy's streams because that's basically what I listen to. But anyway, when I fall asleep and I'm moving around in bed and the watch, if I don't do anything to it, that stupid little digital crown will turn up and down the volume every time I move underneath the blankets.
Yes.
Like,
that's
it
a
is
thing.
I noticed
so
that.
frustrating. So what I have to do, I tell my phone, Siri, go to bed, and it runs my little go to bed shortcut, which turns off all the things that I want it to and starts my playlist. But then I have to go on my watch.
Jarvis?
I have to swipe up. I have to scroll down a little bit. I have to tap theater mode and then water lock. and that takes care of the because theater mode, it won't turn on unless you click a button, and water lock means that the little spinny crown won't do anything. So then in the morning when I wake up and it's like, it's too early and I'm not thinking all the way, I'm like, why is my watch broken? Did this thing die? It's like not doing race to wake, and it's just like, and I tap it and I'm like,
It's hilarious.
water lock.
It's hilarious that WatchOS lets you turn both of those on at the same time. I bet the watch is like, what are you doing? You're in a theater, but you're underwater.
I never thought of that.
Are you swimming?
I think
in
you
a
have
movie
anxiety,
theater?
Nick. That's what the watch is going to tell you.
I'm also going to ping my iPhone, and I'm going to turn on airplane mode and the flashlight all at once.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh my! That's
poor
why we
watch
get
is
the
very
weirdest
confused.
updates, Nick, because they look at user data like yours and be like,
What is he doing?
sleep
What's
tracking?
going on?
what's going on?
Well, that's what I want. I just want like a sleep tracking mode.
I'm
where-
very concerned for this guy's mental health right now. We should put a feature in.
But how do they, just looking at accelerometer, gyroscope, and wrist,
Heart rate
looking
and
at your wrist,
biometrics,
how do
too.
they dictate your heart rate? How do they dictate your mental health?
For some reason, I feel like a while ago, the Breathe app for like a solid 6 months would send me, it was on the Series 3, for a solid like 6 months, whenever I got stressed and like my heart rate would go up a little, I would remember getting like a Breathe notification. And like it happened for a while, like every time I got stressed or like had a little like, jump in my heart, like, yeah, I did something wrong, or I almost got hit in the car, or whatever, my watch would go, like 30 seconds later, without fail, go, ding, breathe. And I remember being like, that's kind of creepy, it knows.
And then you look and crash. the car.
Exactly. As I'm breathing, I just close my eyes.
Why do you want me to?
Exactly. But I feel like that was a feature a while ago, and I haven't done any research on it, but like I feel like that was a feature a long time ago, that it would like send you a Breathe notification when you were stressed. So I kind of feel like it's just reading your background heart rate, and if it notices anything high when you're not moving, it's like, okay, you're stressed, and it knows if you haven't filled your activity rings, then you haven't exercised, so there's no dopamine in your brain, and so it's like, well, you're probably sad, and it can connect with Apple TV and figure out what shows you're watching, and if you're watching depressing shows, it's like, oh my goodness, this guy is just having problems, and then what you do is you just get a nice little needle pen thing, and it just jabs it straight into your wrist underneath the watch, and injects dopamine right into your bloodstream, and then you're just happy.
Another idea is it could look at your Apple Card spending.
Oh, true,
And-
true. It's just
Then when it sees you buying like junk food, it's like, oh, he's not doing well. He's buying things he shouldn't be buying.
So this
Yeah.
is the moment where
poor
we're
Tim
gonna
has to look through all
show
of
people
that
don't
data. I
understand
almost feel
why,
bad for him.
but
Yeah.
my camera's been doing this, and this
Okay.
is exactly
Randy
why.
just disappeared, and
But
Drew and I
no.
are-
So you guys are, if you're watching the video version,
Yeah, they
I'm
can
still
see.
here, but I'm gonna probably.
I can hear you.
I'm
can-
gonna
we can
do
hear you,
some
that's fine.
Hollywood magic, and I'm gonna move over to backup over here. and I'm
See,
gonna
guys?
see if I can make this work.
Y'all have been saying
Okay.
it's my fault that we didn't have a video show, but all through these years, the past 2 weeks, it's been Randy having technical difficulties. He didn't turn his camera the right way last week, and now he just stopped the video halfway through. It's not my fault.
I
guys.
blame both of you.
He blames.
I'm the only one who hasn't contributed, so therefore nothing is my fault.
you.
Well,
That is
I'm
true.
clean.
You just
I
sit here
blame
and talk.
iOS.
Okay, that's safe.
All
But
right, so we're back.
do we have an update for Randy on? Oh my God, Randy's
We're good.
panicking.
Now we can't hear Randy. This is
And I
just
can't
going,
hear
and
Randy.
this is a video show. It used to be with the audio show. I could cut all this out, and you guys would never know it happened. But now this is a video show, and you'll notice the jump cut. So I'm just going to keep filling the time here and buy Randy a few seconds.
Can you hear
And
me right now?
actually, we're going to go to ad break here. I'm getting a message from my producer here that we're just going to
still can't
go
hear
to
Randy.
ad break.
For the
And
record,
no one can hear Randy. So enjoy this message from our sponsors. Thank you very much for the word from our sponsors. We're back on the show. Randy has fixed his technical difficulties, and he is going to be
With broke
banned
pods.
with broke pods. my Pro pods are still charging. I left them out all night, and I didn't charge them last night like I should have. So next show I will be wearing.
This is a good topic.
Hey, yeah.
Let's go into how AirPods have been a dumpster fire for Randy today.
So Randy, tell us about your experience.
I am. If I had the Series 6 right now, it would tell me I have a mental issue of being completely.
It would tell you to calm down.
I am sweating. I'm so upset right now.
I'm sweating because it's slightly hot in here.
Yeah, that too.
That's true. I mean, you are in the
I-
room, Drew, and that's really the
I
only thing that will raise the
genuinely-
temperature.
Genuinely, I do not like AirPods Pro. I've decided.
Ooh. Wow.
The moment I put these on when we're fixing the tech difficulties and all that,
Wow.
it feels so much more comfortable in my ears. I need to swap out to different suction cups or something because they're uncomfortable. They hurt my ears. These ones, they're not even there. I
just rest
genuinely
so well. Like they're very like
I
the
love
weight
them.
is at the bottom, and like I noticed that too. I put them in today, and yeah, like I love the old ones. I don't want to be broke.
I will say
so-
that
so-
like noise canceling and all that, like I really appreciate it. I wish,
Yeah.
that's why I will continue using them for like short things, but they're not comfortable. It's not worth it. I regret buying them.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
the truth is out there. So we can now confirm everybody on the podcast has AirPods Pro, right?
Yes.
this has been a thing
And
for a while.
2 out of
Randy
the 3
didn't
of
get
you.
them recently, did you? When did you get them?
It was more recent than us.
More recent than you guys, but I've had them for at least 2 months or something.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was having a Mandela moment there. Like, wait, when did you get them?
So you're gonna sell them, Randy?
I'm gonna swap out the suction cup things to see if I can find a good fit. If I can't find a good fit, I will sell them. Yeah,
Which
they're not
one? Which
comfortable
ones?
for
Which
me.
size are you using right now?
The one that comes with the middle one.
Medium.
I'm
That's
an
what I'm
extra
using, and they
medium
come hurt.
type of guy.
I've had, speaking of Apple difficulties, I've had a terrible time with macOS Catalina as of lately
Ooh, pray
because
tell.
there's this recurring bug that's becoming more and more common where I'm using my computer and because
What's
I'm
a
not
computer?
watching anything yet, it's all working fine. Shut up, Nick.
Shut up, Nick.
Go die. And all of the videos will not play, whether they're on YouTube, Final Cut, QuickTime. Just it feels like a GPU driver glitch, and I can't find anyone else who's having the same problem. But it was not a problem until macOS Catalina set in. So now, if that happens, there's nothing I can do except restart the computer, and then it works again. And it's now happening like every day. So it used to happen once a week. It's becoming more common, so I feel like I'm just the rare guy that's actually having this problem. Maybe because I'm a super rare example of someone who has
You're
still using the
ginger
base
with
iMac
green
Pro.
eyes and a Mac Pro and Space
Yes.
Gray. Those are the conditions that led up to the GPU glitch.
You have to hold the banana a certain way, and it all breaks. It doesn't work. So it's not bad enough for me to be like macOS sucks. I'm ditching macOS because I've seen macOS in better times, and there is no equivalent to what I do on Mac that could be achieved on Windows. So there's no point in that argument. But I really think macOS needs a whole year of stability and just a year of working on bugs and not adding any I don't need any features added, honestly. I don't want them to
So what you're saying
remove
is
anything
we're
or
going to be getting macOS High Catalina?
Is that a
I
thing?
don't know.
Can we get High Catalina next? Or
Randy.
macOS Weed?
macOS
Whatever you
Weed,
wanna
there
call
you
it.
go.
Call it Weed so we can chill and just relax.
There you go.
And just
And just
Calm out, Mac
the
OS a
default
little bit.
background.
Can I
is
get
just gonna
some of
be
that then?
Elon and Joe on Joe Rogan's show. That's going to be the default background.
come on, Craig. You got to stick the land. Because I specifically had so many bugs with macOS Mojave beta that I couldn't even edit on my computer. That I decided when Catalina came out, I was like, I'm not using the beta. I'm going to wait until the full version of Catalina comes out before I get it. So I wait, and this is what I get. I still get a buggy, glitchy experience even when I waited for the public release. So that's disappointing to me. And I'm not going to act on it. I'm just going to be mad.
Good. And
That's
your
it.
Apple Watch knows that you're depressed and having mental health issues right now.
Sam is right though. If the watch was telling you that you were having anxiety, that would not help at all.
No, that
It
gives
would
me
just
more
make everything
anxiety.
worse.
Like, oh god, oh god, I knew it.
Oh my goodness.
Even my watch thinks I'm messed up.
You just purchased an expensive iPad. Wow, that's a lot of anxiety.
Have you tested out the new cameras in LiDAR at all, or have you just completely swept that under the rug?
So that's not why I upgraded, right? Like, I didn't upgrade because I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this LiDAR chip is going to change my life. I don't care about that. What what I was worried about is the storage. That's kind of why I upgraded here. But the LiDAR is nice. I tried it out. The two things I've tried it out on, or actually three things now, I guess. The iPad Pro 4th Gen with Magic Keyboard case AR demo on Apple's website. I played around with that.
So you have an AR version of the setup.
Exactly.
You
It
already
was
have.
very meta, like watching myself play with the device. And like, it's so good that like my brain got tricked a couple times. Like with some of the other AR demos, like I was staring at it and like waving my hand and obviously it was masking it out. And it was like, oh wow, this is so
Yeah.
cool. And then for a quick second when I take it down, I'm like, wait a minute, where'd it go?
Yeah.
It's not on the table anymore.
Right. You reach out to move it, and you're like, well,
What? It's
I don't know what reality is anymore.
This is why I
is
don't
no
like AR,
spoon.
folks. Or VR. There's no spoon. That was delayed.
There you go.
Yeah. So overall, was it worth the purchase? Heck no. For the LiDAR chip. Because
It just
my
said no,
iPhone works
okay.
just fine if I want to see what something looks like in AR. I don't need the stupid LiDAR chip for it. But maybe in DubDub there'll be something interesting with it. But that's not why I upgraded. So, yeah.
I'm still counting on photo and video exclusive features once LiDAR comes to the iPhone. I just do not believe they are adding it to the iPad and the iPhone simply for the sake of IKEA furniture demo. Like, that can't be it. There has to be a video bokeh mode that will be only capable with the A14 chip and LiDAR. So they can say it's available on the 12
I
Pro
think you mean the
and nothing else.
A13Z chip.
Oh, no. Is that where
I
we're
don't
going
know.
right after this?
I'm still kind of bitter
Oh,
about that.
jeez. Yeah.
We'll never leave
But the
13 as a
masking is
whole.
impressive. They're just going to stay on
Letters.
A12 and A13 and then add another letter each year.
It's
Oh,
the
no, they
Mac
have to do
OS 10 of iPhone. It's the
I
iOS
see.
version of
Do you
that.
think they should ditch the 10 in Mac OS?
They
I
did.
thought it would have been a perfect time to upgrade 10 in
Mac OS,
sequence
I
with
thought they did.
iOS 10.
Well, the version number
Like-
still starts with 10, but
It's
it's
still-
not Mac OS 10. It's Mac OS. Mac OS.
They don't brand it as Mac OS 10, but if you go to the version,
It's still version 10.
10.15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
They
not
should
on the
just
Mac
move
all
on
that
from
Like
there.
often.
Windows.
I love my iPad so much. Say about this Mac. And 10.15.
So you have two. Yeah, there you go. So you have two 12.9-inch iPad Pros. Are you keeping them both, or are you going to try to get rid of the bent one?
You are not a minimalist.
I've never been a minimalist, Randy. I'm an
You're not even an
essentialist. Yes,
essentialist.
I am. Come on, Randy. What are you talking about?
He gets
this?
one paycheck. He gets that stimulus check. And he's like, I'm buying a new iPad.
No.
I don't think that would have covered
No,
the
it
new
wouldn't
iPad,
have.
to
But
be fair.
the thing here is I have a certain look that I'm going for with this setup, and
Yeah.
I achieve that as efficiently as possible. It's not
Oh, yes.
completely
Okay.
set up yet.
Quite frankly, if you take a look at Nick's desk, you know exactly what setup he's going for.
Exactly.
Now we got Shapiro on the show. Thanks, Ben, for joining.
Well, this is absolutely
I don't know
ludicrous,
if-
absurd.
Right.
Hey, I don't want you to freak
Right.
out or anything, but I want you to know that you just spent a lot of money on another phone that you don't need. Oh, God.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
Oh, I remembered what I wanted to ask about because Randy was texting us this idea recently about Apple getting in expanding
Take it.
the Apple Card in more ways
Take
than
it.
credit.
Tim Cook,
Take it away,
the
Randy.
wheel.
All right.
What's your pitch?
So I want to send the note. I'm scrolling up to the notes that I sent you guys just so I can. I want to make sure I don't want to miss anything. Nah, I mean,
I could
I haven't met.
I could tell you thought about it.
I have put a lot of thought into this, and which is why like I got most of it in my head, but I don't want to skip anything for announcing it for the first time. So how do you guys? Oop. And by you guys, I mean I talked with you guys, like you guys, but our audience. How do you guys feel if Apple came out shortly after all this now to say we're announcing for the first. I can't do Tim Cook, but Apple Bank. Let that sink in for a second. Apple Bank. Apple Bank is an online bank, much like there are other online banks like Ally. There's even technically, I mean, even if you use like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, that are online too. You could do almost everything on your phone. So that's a thing. But Apple Bank would be competing now, not just for your credit card and money that way, but now for strictly your income. They're responsible for getting direct deposits that you would get, and they would benefit that for themselves because now they can. It helps with their financial their flow chart, but it also benefits you because what makes a online bank more competitive than a traditional bank is they typically offer an incentive with higher interest savings, a higher yield. So where if you look at Chase or Bank of America, whatever, if you get a savings account, it's like 0.05 or 0.01 or 2. It's something ridiculously small, and it's laughable, and they can get away with it because they've been around so long, they're established, and they're all over at least in North America, they're all over the United States. And I'm sure this is the exact same thing in Canada, in the UK, Europe. They're all over the place. But online banks are effectively, they're everywhere. They could be anywhere because they're in your pocket as long as your country supports it. So here are some of the perks that Apple Bank would offer that I came up right here in the little noggin. So if this comes out as soon as WWDC this year or later, it came from me first. So I'm going to read
Tim
you the
listens to this show. So Tim, get out your notepad, take out your iPad Pro with your Apple Pencil, double tap the lock screen, and start taking notes here. I'm
going to read to you the pamphlet that I sent Nick and Drew. And I want you guys to.
It's an official pamphlet.
It's in iMessage
you can
Blue.
fold through it.
It's an iMessage Blue. That's how official it is. So I'm gonna read it to you, and let's see if the pitch works. Sign up with Apple Bank. Perks come with you use your physical Apple card, the credit card, as a debit card at ATMs for cash withdrawals. Because one of the things with an online bank is that you don't actually have a dedicated branch that you can go into and make withdrawals and stuff like that. That circumvents it with when you go to ATMs to make deposits, or if you need to pull out cash, you go to these ATMs. So within this network of an ATM infrastructure that they have, you can go there. So you use your physical Apple card as a debit card at ATMs for cash withdrawals or deposits. Get front of the line early access to pre-orders with Apple Store system integration on iOS. And I put a little asterisk there. We'll come back to that in a second, okay? But I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again because I want to make sure it's understood. You get front of the line early access to pre-orders with the Apple Store app on your iOS device, thus including iPad. So
there's a reason.
There's a reason. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
You get a 1.53% high yield savings account. So I came up with that number because it's competitive with other online savings that have roughly about the same thing. Anything that's above 1% is higher than 20%. It's 20 times higher than the national average that we have in America. So it's competitive. It works. Let your money sit. So if you're not spending the money or whatever, it's still helping you. And Apple is, obviously they're not getting a cut of your money because that's not how banking works. They always they're moving money around consistently, and this is just their way of being able to do this more effectively. And your kickback is you get 1.5% with your savings account.
1.53%, Randy. Come on.
Yes, 1.53. There you go. 1.53% high yield savings account. Stacked points. Now this was something I also put thought into. Stacked points for multiple accounts linked with Apple Bank. So a checkings account, a savings account, and credit cards. Additional 0.5 to 1.5% back on credit card purchases. I did this because I have an online bank with USAA as a service member. This is something that they do with benefits, is that they stack discounts. Well, discounts and percent cash back is all effectively pretty much the same thing. So now if you have more of your business with Apple, your new incentives, you get higher percentage usage out of your Apple Card. So now it makes the Apple Card more competitive in the sense that you can use, you just get higher returns. So that's including, so go to Apple Store, you buy something, 3% back. And let's say you had every other account with Apple Bank, that's 4.5% back. That's actually a pretty thick discount. I purposely, like, it's big enough that it's noticeable and small enough that Apple doesn't lose too much of a profit on it. Combined perks for setting up direct deposit and reoccurring payments on checkings accounts. So a lot of times, like when you set up, I think of cell phones. If you set up reoccurring direct deposit or direct payments with your cell phone plan, they give you like $5 off or $10 off. There's an incentive for them to have it there because it's something that you don't think about, and it's a guaranteed, or it should be a guaranteed flowed income coming from the service provider. So likewise, if you set up direct deposit and it goes to their bank and it's listed as an ACH transaction, there's a certain code that's utilized that shows that it's like, okay, it's recurring payments and stuff like that with Apple iTunes or Apple Music, I should say, the Apple TV Plus. So even their own services, iCloud, when you have all that set up and it's going through and it's coming out of your bank or the credit card, it's effectively all one and the same. You get these combined perks, and we'll come back to that in a second too, because I put asterisks next to that. And last day is 1 day early deposits for pending credits. This is something that credit unions are more known for doing. Credit unions don't hold on to pending deposits until they clear and then deposit in your account. Normal traditional banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, etc., Citi, they will hold on to the pending transaction of the deposit until it clears that night, and when they update their accounting overnight, that note then officially gets deposited into your account. Credit unions typically will give you the benefit down and give you a credit up front for 24 hours, up to sometimes 48 hours in advance. They will let that money hit your account sooner if you need it. So, hey, I got a pending deposit.
Randy, that all depends on the type of banks that are paying each other. These banks are in different clearinghouse networks, and so if Bank of America and Wells Fargo are in the same clearinghouse network, but Apple Bank is not in their clearinghouse network, that transaction will still take 12 to 48 hours to post.
I know of a few online mobile banks that will clear you early the same way.
Yeah. So as long as it's within the correct clearinghouse.
That's the one that Apple goes to. So
cool.
I'm not being technical. I'm just making a pitch. They make it happen. They
find
a way to make it
works,
hurt.
Guys. I went to school for this.
I know how it works because I'm a long customer with banks.
There you go.
So
I believe both of you.
So now let's come back to the things I said we'll talk about later. You must use the Apple Store app with your credit card with the Apple Card for early access to pre-orders, and then I'll open up to talking about pre-orders and stuff like that. So the only way you get front of the line early access is that you have to use the app, and within the app you have to do it with the Apple credit card. So when you do Apple Pay, and it has to be done with that. It can't be Apple Pay with another card. It has to be Apple Pay with the Apple Card. And then the other thing is bonus categories on promos in collaboration with Apple. So sometimes you got Nike collaborating with Apple, or you have like Jamba
Uber.
Juice or what have you, Uber, same thing. So this is a way that these bonus categories that are like revolving credits that you have that other banks like Chase does is the exact same thing about combined perks when you set up direct deposit, and if you have recurring payments, when you have more things. Basically, if you use Apple Bank as the funnel of all things in and out transactions with incomes and stuff like that, you get more perks, more benefits, more cash back, and everyone can effectively qualify if you're over 18 and you have an iOS device. What do you guys think about that?
I would do it simply to not have another email and password that I have to remember. So if it could all be managed through my same Apple
what
ID.
You're saying, Drew, is you don't need any of that. You just want a bank.
No, I'm saying I have no loyalty to my current bank, and I'm in the market anyway for another bank. So if Apple stepped up at the Dub or whenever decided that they were getting into the online banking business just for the sake of simplicity. I mean, a lot of my reasons I thought the Apple Card was genius was for the sake of ease of signing up and ease of usage compared to people were comparing it to this free credit card with better perks, but I'm like, then you have to download another app, set up another account, get a password, and you have to have that set up every time you go on a website. Or whereas this is built into the Wallet app, which is going to be on my iPhone anyway. For the same reasons, I would want that integration because, for one, the pre-order access would be a lot easier. I mean, Apple has direct access to your money now, so being able to charge you for things is going to be easier than ever. There's barely any transaction. They're just saying, okay, we get this piece of it, but it was already in our bank. So rewarding you for that makes a whole lot of sense, because all of the things Randy said, like you would have to do this and you would have to do this for it to work, are things I do anyway. I order everything through the Apple Store app, but I order everything off the Apple Card, so I would have no reason to not go with this. And I'm the Apple sheep, and it'd be funny to have Google sending money to an Apple bank. So for that reason alone. Yeah, I have no loyalty to my current bank, so that's why. Yes, I would totally do that.
Cool. Nick?
Easy.
I'd probably get one. I wouldn't close any of my other accounts for it, but I'd probably make it my primary, depending on app integration and the convenience level. We have...
Would this be in the Wallet app, or would this be another thing?
So that's something I was writing out in my initial little brochure here, and then I took it out. I can see like early, like the first version of it being in the Wallet app, but I don't think it. I think it'd have a standalone app just because of sensitive information like the money and stuff like that, and account numbers and everything like that. I would like to. It's convenient to have it in a single Wallet app, unless you call the Wallet app something else. But
maybe the Wallet app just has like a little card, like in the Apple card in the Wallet app, you see like the information from it.
Yeah.
But maybe there's like a glanceable view. But if you want to dig down into the account numbers or transfer funds or anything, more technical, you have to go to the other app. But then that's not as convenient for Drew, which is part of the reason why he's interested in this.
Well, the thing is, like, so I can see the benefit of having a new app for it, just because of the sensitivity of
really minimal dollar sign design.
Done.
It's kind of built in with iOS and everything.
Sold. But if I can have it all in the wallet, I think if it lives in the wallet would probably be renamed to something else. But I like the idea of the wallet being the wallet and the bank being the bank, because the wallet allows you to have external cards that aren't Apple related in it, to whereas the Apple Bank is the Apple Bank, and they can still communicate the same. I guess in my head I see it the same way as you use your phone app, the same way you use your FaceTime app, the same way you use your iMessage app, but they're all one and the same and they're connected. Effectively, it's pretty much like the same way with that. Like, you have the Apple Bank app, you have the Wallet app, and even though they communicate with one another the exact same way, they're standalone entities for very specific purposes. Yeah.
Would there be a need for the Apple Pay Cash app if they had debit cards now?
Apple Pay Cash app, that can be the debit card. Well, so the thing is, the Apple Pay Cash app, or the Apple Pay Cash card, is a prepaid card, effectively.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can exist.
It's actually technically a Discover card. The account is Discover.
But I mean, it's like you can fund it. You can load it. It's treated as a prepaid card that this is your thing. That doesn't have to change. It's more trying to merge your Apple Card into. It's still trying to promote Apple Pay, virtual machines communicating, stuff like that, where contactless, that you decide the user, is this a credit transaction? Because you know how when you use your debit card, is it credit or debit, and you put credit on a debit card and you sign and it does nothing except post 3 days later. You get the same questions like at a Target saying, is this a credit or debit? That's when you hit credit or debit, that's when it activates on your phone. Okay, you're using the credit card, not the debit card, or you're using the debit card, not the credit card. So now you have a PIN. So instead of just signing it, or in this case, authenticating with your face for on your phone,
you have to have a special blink pattern for the pin here. Too long.
No, yeah, just have a
Short.
regular pen on the touchpad of the merchant that you're buying from. So so now you punch in your pin.
The goal,
and so
Randy, is to make us techie people look as weird as possible in public. That's the goal here.
The goal is to make it as seamless as possible, that you don't have to. It's up to the merchant to decide, hey, sorry, we don't do credit, we only do debit. Okay, fine. You can still use your Apple Card, and now it's treated as a debit card. And with the debit card, you don't get all the perks the same way a credit card gives you, but it's all effectively coming from the same house. And it's taking the responsibility off of you and not putting it on the merchant or on the institution, which would be the financial institution being Apple or Goldman Sachs or whoever. But it's all about promoting Apple Pay still ultimately.
I love this, Randy. This is a good idea. I would like to see Apple use this bank. No but. Like, this is good.
Okay.
It's an and.
Okay.
It's an and.
Okay.
And I would like to see Apple create more of an investment bank for their personal cash pile, because they have over $250 billion right now. Yes, granted, currently frozen overseas and certain Jordanian accounts and whatever. But if they can pool that together into an investment style bank, they would be as big as a lot of the big banks, $2.5 billion in cash sitting there. That would then allow them to take the Apple Card loans or the Apple Card credit limits in-house and not rely on Goldman Sachs anymore. And Apple could be making that interest directly. Because right now, if you're holding a balance on your Apple Card, probably a small percentage goes to Apple of that interest payment, but a large percentage of that goes to Goldman Sachs, who is the investment bank who is actually holding the debt. So if Apple were to use their cash to create an investment bank and take that all in-house, they could really rack in the money, because that's America loves to spend money, and no one knows how to stop spending money. And lots of people pay lots of money in interest. I know. I think we're good here, but and all the listeners who are not in debt.
No, not us though.
Not us though.
We're totally fine.
Yeah,
we're good.
I love this idea. I hope they do it because we thought of it. They probably won't, but I still. We could talk more about this later, but we're nearing our time for the
I
episode.
looked down at the clock. What happened, guys?
Yeah,
a lot of technical difficulties. That's what happened.
They won't even know this happened, so now they're gonna wonder what happened, Randy, because we cut it all out.
Oh well. Do you have any closing thoughts?
What does your shirt say, Drew? What is that? U.S. Bachelor of Communication? CBSU. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What university is that?
College, because school.
Useless.
Useless.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
That's my favorite shirt of yours.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoy this one too.
Yeah.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Happy May.
Ba-ba-ba.